today we are going to talk about the IRS processing employee retention credit claims under the moratorium and what is the withdrawal program and voluntary disclosure program the IRS has implemented and what that means for you, including a March 22nd, 2024 deadline to file any voluntary disclosure. My name is Rebecca Shepard. I'm a tax attorney here at Frost Law, and I started practicing tax law 12 years ago in tax controversy, and in the last 3 years I've actually shifted my focus more toward the COVID relief programs and the employee retention credit. That has come into a big benefit now that there are a lot of controversies with the employee retention credit. So let's go into it. On September 14th, 2023, the IRS announced a moratorium on new claims being processed, stating no claims were going to be processed between September 14th and at least December 31st, though it may continue longer, because they needed to worry about all of this fraud that kind of popped up throughout this program. In order to combat that, the IRS announced a withdrawal program. So a withdrawal program is for business owners that want to withdraw their claim. They have either not received checks yet or have not cashed checks they have received. You can actually withdraw your claim even if you are under audit, under exam. You would file your withdrawal claim through your auditor. Now, first, before you make a determination of whether or not you should withdraw your claim, you should make sure that you talk to a tax professional and understand whether or not your claim should be withdrawn. But if everyone's in agreement that your claim should be withdrawn, the program is pretty simple. It's a few simple steps. Number one, you write the word withdrawal on the left part of your form. On the right part of your form, you sign your name and your title with the company, and you fax over those forms to the IRS, to a specific processing number. Now, the withdrawal program, though they say is temporary in nature, is still going. We don't have an official deadline yet, but something to keep in mind that it will not be forever. Now, the IRS is hoping a lot of folks take advantage of this program because there's a little over 1 million 941X forms that need to be processed that are sitting waiting for the IRS. The other program the IRS announced, and this was just recently on December 20, was a voluntary disclosure program. Now, typically, voluntary disclosure programs are a way for a bad actor to voluntarily come forward, and it typically includes some sort of criminal protection and requires the taxpayer to full pay the tax liability at the time of the voluntary disclosure. In addition, you can't be under exam. The IRS can't contact you for an audit and then you say, whoa, I'm going to voluntarily disclose that I owe you this money. That's not how it works. You have to come forward beforehand. So remember, that's unlike that withdrawal program. So now in the voluntary disclosure program, if you've gotten checks, cashed those checks, and you are not under audit, you can comply with the ERC voluntary disclosure program, but it's not going to look exactly like a typical voluntary disclosure program. One, it doesn't have that typical protection from criminal prosecution, and you actually don't need to full pay the tax liability. You get to keep 20% of it. And the reason for that is the IRS believes that a lot of people have paid, these bad actors, these fraudulent proponents and promoters of the program to file these claims. And a lot of the times those contingency agreements would range between 15 and 30%. So I think they stuck with 20 in the middle and said, okay, pay us 80% of the tax liability back, which means you get to keep 20% of the refund you received, all of the interest you received, and the IRS is not requiring business owners to amend their income tax returns, which is typically a requirement with the employee retention credit. Now, the one thing you really need to pay attention to with this voluntary disclosure program is it is temporary. It will go away on March 22nd, 2024. So if you think that you might be a good candidate for the voluntary disclosure program, you really need to be looking at that date and understand that the time to talk to a tax professional is now to determine whether or not you really should be participating in this program. People who should be thinking about it are very large employers that maybe didn't understand the rules in the beginning about how aggregation works and control groups work, and looking at the employee count in 2019 and whether that would have excluded these business owners from the program. People who relied on maybe OSHA or some of these other federal guidance programs that the IRS has come out and said do not rise to the level of a governmental order. But again, don't do this without any help. You want to make sure that you're talking to a professional who can help you walk through this process and make a determination of whether or not you're a good candidate for the withdrawal program, the voluntary disclosure program, or maybe just a second look and make sure that you've done everything properly to determine whether or not you should take some other actions, which could include amending your amended return to make sure that you're including everything properly, or maybe reducing that refund by a little bit. So feel free to give us a call. We're happy to have a conversation to just talk through these issues and work through them with you. Thank you.